For most of his life, he believed his moment would come someday. Someday he would finally feel confident. Someday things would all make sense. Someday he would become that person he kept imagining late at night, the one who was successful, happy and fulfilled. But someday never arrived. Instead, life just kept moving forward, almost as if it had forgotten him. Opportunities would appear, shimmer for a moment, and then pass by quietly. People he once stood beside, friends he started out with, all seemed to be moving ahead, leaving him behind. And with every passing year, the distance between who he was and who he wanted to be grew heavier, like a weight on his shoulders. It wasn't that he was lazy. He really wasn't. He was just tired. So incredibly tired. He was tired of trying and failing, of pouring his heart into something only to see it fall apart. He was tired of hoping, of getting his expectations up, only to be met with disappointment time and time again. He was tired of explaining his dreams, too. People who had stopped asking about them. The polite nods feeling more like pity than encouragement. It was a cycle of exhaustion that seemed to have no end. Then, one ordinary morning, something shifted. Nothing dramatic happened. There was no lightning bolt of inspiration, no sudden miracle, no surge of motivation that compelled him to change his entire life on the spot. It was just a quiet moment of honesty, a realization that hit him harder and more deeply than any failure ever had. He realized he had been waiting for permission. Permission to start living the life he wanted. Permission to try and possibly fail. Permission to change, to evolve, to become someone new. He had been waiting for a sign from the universe, an approval from others, a guarantee that everything would work out. And on that day, he stopped waiting. He didn't make a grand announcement on social media. He didn't quit his job in a blaze of glory. He didn't pack his bags and move to a new city. His revolution was quiet, almost invisible to the outside world. He simply began doing one small thing every single day that aligned with the person he wanted to become. Just one small thing. Instead of endlessly scrolling through his phone before bed, he started reading a few pages of a book. Instead of complaining about his circumstances, he started learning a new skill. Even for just 15 minutes a day, he started showing up for himself. Especially on the days when motivation was nowhere to be found, progress was slow, painfully slow. It was quiet and, frankly, unimpressive to anyone watching from the outside. There were no overnight successes, no viral moments. But internally, something profound began to change. His confidence, which had always been tied to external results and validation, started to grow from a new source, his own consistency. The simple act of keeping a promise to himself, day after day, was building a foundation of self-trust that was stronger than any praise he had ever received. As this internal shift happened, the noise of the outside world started to fade. The opinions of others, which had once felt like a cage, began to lose their power over him. He started to respect himself, not because he had reached some final destination or achieved a massive goal, but because he was finally moving. He was on the journey, taking one step at a time, and that was enough. The respect came from the effort, not the outcome. Of course, there were setbacks. There were days filled with doubt, moments when the old feelings of inadequacy and frustration came rushing back. The voice in his head telling him to just give up was still there, but this time, it didn't stop him, because he finally understood something that most people never do. You don't need to have everything figured out to move forward. You don't need a perfect map or a clear path. You just need the courage to take the next step without it. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite it. Years later, people would look at him and say he was lucky. They'd say he just found his path, that it all worked out for him so easily. They would see the success, the confidence, the sense of peace he carried. But they would never see the quiet mornings when he chose discipline over comfort. They wouldn't see the countless hours of effort when no one was watching or cheering him on. They would never know about the small, almost insignificant choice he made on that one ordinary day when he decided to stop waiting. And that simple choice, that quiet decision to begin, made all the difference. It wasn't about waiting for the perfect moment. It was about realizing that any moment can be the right one to start. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more content like this.